Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello everybody at home and welcome to Houselights, House of Burton, specifically Tim Burton. And today we're going to be talking about 1992's Batman Returns, the sequel to the original Tim Burton Batman that came out in 1989. Now last week we did Edward Scissorhands that came out in 1990, and we're going to continue to do 90s Tim Burton for the next couple of weeks. And the people who are going to be doing that with me are Dr. Sci-Fi, a.k.a. Darren Moser, as well as Kessel Junkie, a.k.a. John Mills. John, how are you doing?
I'm really ready to get back to Gotham City, which I'm sure looks and feels exactly as it did in 1989 and not at all tonally or stylistically different in any substantial way.
I'm so excited to take this journey with you and find out the answer. Now, Darren, I am itching, and hopefully I can gather some sort of cream for it. But how are you doing? How was your Christmas as we talk about this Christmas movie?
It was a good Christmas. We had the annual is Batman Returns and Die Hard Christmas movies because they take place at Christmas, which apparently is all it's required. Or maybe Santa needs to be in there, a present perhaps. But no, it was a good Christmas. We just had Christmas movies on like in a loop on the TV in the background. And there's some good new ones. We watched 8-Bit Christmas. That was also good. Enjoyed that, but gotta love the classics.
Now, John, would you consider this a classic Christmas movie, Batman Returns?
No.
Is this something that you watch with the Yule log going?
No. This is one
I would not
where
either, just for records.
Yeah. Oh, I know. This is one of those ones where I know it's gotten to that point because of its, the time it's set at and everything like that. But it's never stuck in my brain as a quote unquote Christmas movie, even though it's set at Christmas time.
It's a winter movie at best.
No, but I mean, like they actually have flat out Christmas stuff going on, and
there's a Christmas tree. There's the lighting of the Christmas tree.
There's the mistletoe.
See people buying presents. There's mistletoe. There's a Christmas dance.
It ends with goodwill toward men and women, like all of that stuff. And it's just for some reason it's never stuck in my brain like that. Like when it started making its sort of cultural comeback, and everybody's like, it's a Christmas movie. Like I had to keep telling myself, oh right, it is. Yeah. It's just I don't know whether it's because it came out during summer, but I mean it's sort of the same thing where Die Hard is set at Christmas, and nobody really treated it as a Christmas movie until relatively recently, because when a movie comes out does impact how you view it in terms of, its relation to the time of year. So, Die Hard was released in August. So people, even though it was set at Christmas, never really talked about it as a quote unquote Christmas movie until it became the joke to do so. And then this was the same sort of way. This was a summer movie. Even though it was set at Christmas, you didn't even really think of it that way. It was just weird. I don't know.
It's kind of like if Halloween Kills came out, where it's just like coming this St. Patty's Day.
Didn't Halloween H2O come out in? It came out at the wrong time of year. I want to say I could be wrong, but I think it was a summer movie. And I remember at the time people were like, "What? You're releasing a Halloween movie in the summertime?" Because it was supposed to be a big hit because Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back and everything. So
my encyclopedic knowledge of Halloween H2O is quite low, so I cannot confirm or deny that.
August 5th, 1998.
Yes,
it was a late summer movie.
Mills for the win.
Thank you, Wikipedia. I'm not saying I have that factoid locked up in my brain. Please don't think that.
Would you see Darren rocking in the back going August 5th, 1989?
No, the only reason I remember it as a summer movie is because Mystery Science Theater 3000 did a special episode where they were mocking all of the trailers coming up, and that's where the joke Halloween water comes from, and I remember that, and it was about the summer movie blockbusters coming up. And so that's why it's always stuck in my head that it was released in the summertime. So there you go.
Well, I feel like we're dancing around.
Let's talk about every movie but Batman Returns.
Yeah, I have this feeling, this gnawing at the back of my brainstem that this might not have been the wham bam, kick pow time that we all wanted it to be. I will kind of, give you a little peek towards the end that while watching this, I kind of reevaluated my statement last week of, man, I love 90s Tim Burton.
Yes.
I was just like, do you, Tristan? Do you really love 90s Tim Burton?
Well, I think it's fair to say I'm the only one that saw this in the movie theater. Again, yes, correct?
Probably. I do have a story about that, but I want to hear yours first.
Oh, no, I saw it in the movie theater with a guy I knew at the time. And I remember loving it, much like Edward Scissorhands. Very similar sort of thing. Came out at a certain time. I was really stoked. It was a Batman sequel. I saw it and I said, wow, I love what he did with this. I love what he did with Penguin. This was so dark. There were too many characters, but okay, whatever. I saw it multiple times in the movie theater. And I'll go back to something that I said about Edward Scissorhands is there are movies that can speak to you at the time of your life that then can grow with you. And then there are movies that stay frozen back then. And they only spoke to the person you were. And I would definitely put Batman Returns in that category. So, I'm once again the old man, but Tristan, I do want to know, what was your first experience with this?
Well, okay. So I was born in 86 and I'm a huge fan of Batman 89. Now, obviously I didn't see that in the theater. But I was, once the 90s came around, I was old enough to be aware of the film. I watched my dad's famous fast forward edited version of 89 when I was around that age. And I was and am a huge Batman fan. And so when 91 came around and 92 came around and they were releasing promotional materials for Returns, I was all excited. I was like, maybe I'll be able to get to go see this one. Like maybe mom and dad will go see it first and then let me know if I can watch it. And I gobbled up everything that I possibly could about this. Like I bought every magazine that came out. There was a 30-minute special that aired on TV that back in the day when they used to do that, like a 30-minute special all about the making of the movie before the movie came out. And I taped it and I watched it.
It's like the opposite of spoiler culture. Like they would never do that nowadays. This year we're like, we're not even going to say who's in the. You can't know who's in the movie. We're not even going to tell you that.
Yeah, right.
Just tough. It'll spoil your life. You will die if you know the credits of this movie before you see it.
Oh man, yeah. We're even to the point where we're like, don't tell me if you liked it or not because I know what you like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, like I taped it on VHS and just watched it over and over again. And like I got the McDonald's cups. I still have them. Then they came with like the toppers that were like little frisbees. You could use them as mini frisbees. Yeah, I was obsessed with it. And then my parents, they said, they're like, okay, what we'll do is your mom and I will go see it. And, if we can like cover your eyes during certain things, or if we think it's okay, maybe we'll take you. Because like I'm 6 at the time. And then I don't think they ever had any intention of ever.
John, would you let your 6-year-old watch this movie? Just see
that
take?
Okay. Yes, because I'm a bad parent, but also because when I was a teenager, I spent one or two of my summers watching my cousin's first kid. His name was Russell, and I love this little guy. But I was a teenager, and what do you do with a kid when you're a teenager? You find anything to occupy them. And he saw the Batman cover, and my other cousin and I were there, and we're sitting there. We're like, is there any reason he shouldn't see Batman? He doesn't even understand what they're saying. Yeah, it's just a lot of movement. Sure. Put on Batman. Put on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We didn't care what the rating was, so long as it kept the kid happy. Sure. Go ahead and watch it. So
that was his favorite summer.
He did have a good summer that summer. And it allowed us the opportunity to just take little naps and stuff like that. So that was good. I don't think it scarred the kid at all. He turned out okay. But I probably wouldn't have my 6-year-old watch this, probably because, in all honesty, she'd find it kind of boring because it's so convoluted that she'd sit there and Penguin would be just a weird looking guy and she'd say, oh, he's weird looking and stuff like that. But I don't know. My kids are edge cases, maybe. I don't know. So
not edgy, edge cases.
No, not edgy at all, but edge cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I ultimately didn't go see it in theater.
What? I'm shocked.
But my parents, they came home and I said, I was like, do I get to see it? And they're like, listen, we almost walked out of this movie.
Wow.
They said, Tristan, this is a trash movie. You don't want to see this. And I'm like, no. I want to see it. They're like, no. Not only are you not allowed to see this movie, we're saving you from seeing this movie. And so it was many years until I saw it, until it was either on TV or there was a VHS copy. But I saw Batman Forever before I saw Batman Returns.
Yeah. Okay. I could. Well, I mean, the thing is, at the time, it was somewhat controversial, specifically because parents were so upset. They took their kids to go see this, and the Penguin was so unsettling.
Why would you take your kids to this?
If it's not R, then there are plenty of people who say, it's a couple of cuss words.
It's got to be good for my family.
Well, no, but they say, they're kids where it's the whole big thing of should they watch violence? Kids can. This is cartoon violence in a lot of ways.
I mean, Batman does set a person on fire with the turbojet of the Batmobile. That person's dead.
That definitely crossed the line and
horribly dead.
And putting the bomb on the world championship arm wrestler from over the top might have been a bridge too far as well. But, people can contextualize it as, it's cartoon violence. And so, Raiders of the Lost Ark had a lot of violence in it, but I saw it when I was a kid. And so you can sort of sit there and say, it probably skirts the line. They probably say a couple of curse words and you just look at your kid.
There's no blood.
Right. And it's... there, Catwoman. This is the thing: is they go in with that expectation, but I do think Batman Returns winds up crossing that line, and I think a lot of parents felt betrayed because
there's a lot of innuendo in there too.
There's a lot of
tons
of
of
innuendo.
And
it's not
I always
even
forget how much.
It's not
is
even
in there.
innuendo. Yeah. It's pretty much just there.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things though where Warner Brothers took a lot of heat for it. Because parents were so mad because they felt that they had been, lied to or whatever, that they should have been able to get away with it. That it should have been I guess a soft PG-13 like Goonies or something. Well, parents took their kids to go see Gremlins and Ghostbusters.
Well, it makes me think of the whole toys for RoboCop. It's it's
right.
That blows my mind because I'm no, it's
RoboCop
Verhoeven. Dear Lord,
RoboCop had a comic book and a cartoon, right?
I mean, granted, I always call the third one the family one because it's PG-13 and it's got a kid in it, and it's definitely different. But
now RoboCop 2 had a kid in it too. I'm just going to throw that flag there, but we're still not talking about.
We're still not talking about Batman Returns.
About Batman Returns, which is this is. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and this might tip my hand for later. I would say that this is hands down the first warning shot that people should store in their brain when they approach movies like Matrix Reloaded, the second Matrix movie. Because the first Batman comes on, huge cultural defining moment, massive box office hit, cultural touchstone. Everybody talks about I'm Batman becomes a catchphrase. And then you go to the Matrix, same sort of thing, bullet time, Neo, blah, 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 all of that stuff.
I know Kung Fu, all that.
Right? Batman Returns is the same experience essentially as Matrix Reloaded, where it does well enough, but crash, boom, bang, audiences are overall disappointed.
Yeah, but this made something like $47 million in 3 days.
Sure,
in
it did.
1992.
Sure, it did.
Yeah, they,
So
budget of 65 to 80, it made $266 million.
Yep. But
that's because they didn't have time to tell their friends it was bad.
people rushed to it. The marketing machine carried it forward. There were enough people that liked it that it made money, and comic book fans keep going to stuff even if they don't like it.
Because
right?
you comic book fans.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, and so like, even though it made a ton of money, there's a whole reason that they basically shifted gears when they went to Batman Forever, because the feedback was so negative. They decided they needed to go more family friendly.
now I know that it's you can't really judge this because it takes place before Rotten Tomatoes existed. But I'm just throwing this out there. The critic score is 80% and the audience score is 73%. Now I know that a lot
of
so
nostalgia
much time,
glasses, though.
Again, I'm not stating anything other than I'm reporting the news. That's all I'm saying.
Why are you defending the tomato meter?
But yeah, like that's the thing is that like whenever I see a Batman conversation about like the Batman films on Twitter or on Reddit or anything like that, there is always staunch defenders of Returns, and if not, it's the most common answer of the best Batman film besides Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand that. Like John, what do you remember? Were you online back in the day, like back in the late 90s?
Were you dialing up? Were you a dialer, John?
I was a very early adopter. I was on the Usenet forums, and I can tell you that the Batman Returns, I think, does benefit from a lot of nostalgia, from a lot of kitsch, from a lot of people that are viewing it through rose-colored glasses, in the sense that what it's trying to achieve is very ambitious. What it manages to achieve is less so. So if you come at this movie and you're judging it from the angle of you get what he's going for, then you're going to rate it very kindly. If you're coming at it from the angle of what he actually manages to pull off, I think you're going to be less so. And I think that's why over time I loved Returns when it first came out. And then I've seen this movie so much I have it memorized. I know this movie like the back of my hand. I know lines. I know.
Or Flipper.
Yeah, or Flipper. Yes, exactly. And it is really one of those things where you either look at the whole or you look at the parts. And that's it. If you look at the whole, it's one experience. If you look at the parts that you like, then that can elevate it.
And I think a lot of it is we remember the highlights. Like we think of the amazing Penguin makeup, and we think of like the key moments of the score that, or Catwoman like going crazy and smashing up her apartment, and just like the highlight reel is what plays in my mind. But when you actually put all the other pieces in, like the part that got me the most was the Batmobile. Like I love the Batmobile, and I love that it's got its, awesome stop motion animated armor. How the bad guys had a button clicker to deactivate that, I don't know. And then apparently
how they get the blueprints.
And they're like, well, maybe I don't know. I was going to say they looked it up in City Hall, but then of course there's no reason that Batman would register the blueprints with City. But they're like pulling the thing apart. It's like chop shop in pieces. But then, the thing that gets me the most is like they took the time, or somebody took the time to make a Batmobile kiddie ride.
I had that moment too.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Like either it's in universe and like this is a licensed thing that is in stores that people are riding in front of, grocery stores, or they fabricated one for the Penguin, which makes even less sense. But explain it to me, John. Explain it to me.
Oh,
John.
no, that is exactly. I like that you're getting exactly at that. This is the guy who made Edward Scissorhands making a Batman movie. This is somebody who has more clout coming in and more of that sensibility. And just like we were talking about last time. No one's going to
tell him no.
Right. How does Edward do this? Why does Edward do that? How does that work? The same sort of questions that we suspend when we watch a movie like Edward Scissorhands because we say, oh, okay, fable, quasi-animated fairy tale. Okay, I'm going to ignore certain things. You come into a movie like Batman Returns that is in a universe that prides itself on the idea that it could really be a thing, and you've broken the rule. You've broken your own in-universe rule.
And I feel like with Darren's comment about the kiddie ride, which totally got me this time too, where I went through the logic in my mind, and I'm just like, how was this thing made? How was this thing procured?
And it's like spot on accurate. It's like
it's legit.
It's a legit kiddie ride.
But the thing is that kind of thing is okay if you make a ridiculous Batman movie. But you have 1989
serious, yeah,
and that's the thing, is it's like he's going back and forth.
Also, yep.
And it doesn't work because he's going back and forth. Either go Batman and Robin whole hog, or full hog, or whatever the phrase is.
Whole hog's right. Yeah.
Or go back to the feeling of 1989. Now, on that note, this will lead into my next question to you guys. Here's something I'm reading on IMDb right now that just is super depressing. The first script draft of this movie was intended to be a direct sequel to the previous Batman 1989. As a result, subplots and continuity from the first film that would have been addressed included gift shops selling fragments of the destroyed Batwing, further revelations into the past of the now deceased Jack Napier, and even Bruce Wayne proposing to Vicky Vale by the end of the film. However, Tim Burton was uncomfortable in making a direct sequel, and as a result, the script was rewritten and a new Gotham City was designed.
Terrible choice.
So, yes, all of that. Getting rid of all of that was a terrible choice. Now, John, you spoke about this. You joked about this. This is the first thing out of your mouth.
Can't joke. That was last movie. This is
right?
Fish.
Gotham City.
Yep.
Is completely different.
Yep.
And you can really, really tell that 99% of this movie was shot in a studio.
Oh, yes.
On a soundstage. I think that really hurt this film.
Completely.
And so, John, I want to hear more about that from you. Like, give me more about your feeling about the design, the aesthetic, not just of the movie, but of Gotham City.
Well, Gotham City in specific, I remember years ago revisiting this with my brother, and because we're both huge Batman fans, like we are, over the moon Batman fans, and we had we sat down and we watched it, and we realized at one point as we're watching them go into the alley and there's the giant face sculptures everywhere. My brother looked at me at one point and he said, this design's a lot more like Batman Forever than I remembered it. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, it is. Because I think on first several viewings, you overlook that because you still have the residual like psychic energy of 1989 coming through into your brain. And you wind up, when you go back with it with clearer eyes, I think, you see these design elements and you realize that it's no to your point, there's this line between the comic book urge and the real world urge, and this movie is unable to decide where it wants to be. Does it want to be the Batman Forever over the top comic book 1966 stuff, or does it want to be the Academy Award winner Anton Furst hyper realistic, uncomfortable family getting mugged in an alleyway in a very ugly reality that we can all recognize sort of world? And it never successfully abrogates that. Like, even the design of Shrek's building when it goes up, there's a distinct difference between the you go up to the reveal of Jack Palance's office in 1989, and it looks like the logical end of an Art Deco building. And you go up to the top of Max Shrek's building, and it's like a Hello Kitty cat face. And it's like, what? Nobody makes a building like this. Okay, so what's going on here? And then, I mean, that pulls me more into how the characters themselves feel a lot less like real people in this than the 1989 movie.
Let's talk about that. Darren, so what did you think about the introduction of Catwoman? Now, obviously, this is nothing like any of the comics that I've ever read about Catwoman or her origin stories. But how did you feel about the birth of Catwoman and how getting hit on the head makes you a superb gymnast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously playing for the confidence. Like, I think the most interesting scene with Catwoman is when she first comes back to Max's boardroom after she's transformed. And all of a sudden, she's remembering everything, and she's confident, and she's outspoken, and like they're trying to play up, like, look at everything she is that she wasn't before. And it's like, yeah, but it, I mean, let alone this aside of remembering that Christopher Walken is in this movie. It's like if you had to throw a dart at the wall and be like, don't forget that Christopher Walken is a Batman villain. Well, oh yeah, that did happen. That is a thing. But
Yep.
And then it's interesting because I
Yawn.
I picked up more on the 9 lives thing, like, because that's a very interesting direction to take it as well. Of like, she basically dies several times during this movie, or should die. Like, she's falling out of buildings and she's landing on things, and it's kind of implied that each of these is a quote unquote mystical death that she's escaping. I mean, she's fallen hard off rooftops and out of windows and all of that. And yeah, and it's, I don't know. I don't know what the apocryphal Catwoman origin is, but yeah, even with their going for like laughs of like, oh, I thought you were going to actually push me. Oh, I actually did. Like, I don't know. What you think, John, of her? We didn't even have to talk about the origin, but just let's put, I mean, how many villains are in this movie? There's quite a few.
Yeah, I have a friend who points specifically to Batman Returns as the moment where movie studios lost the thread, where they decided that there should have, you had the Joker in the previous one, but you need more. The old style sequel thinking is, I need more, and it doesn't matter how you get there. And so
there's no reason to put Catwoman in this movie. It's not her story.
Correct. No, and that's the annoying thing, is that Catwoman on her own could have been a really good movie.
Yeah.
Penguin on
her
his own.
dynamic with Batman is really interesting, and is not like any other Batman villain.
And Penguin on his own is really interesting as well. But I won't just say it's a function of numbers, but of screenwriting. Because flash forward to Nolan. Nolan has Two-Face and the Joker and the Mob all in The Dark Knight. And it all works because everything points toward one thread, and that's a focus on Batman. True. And you have this central character who is still the main character of your movie.
That's true. I'm thinking now of how much screen time Batman actually got in Batman Returns, and it's actually not a lot. It's
not
actually
much
not a
at
lot.
all.
I looked it up, and Batman and Bruce Wayne together have more than anybody.
Really?
So he does have the most. Yes,
okay.
He does.
It
I looked it
feels
up.
like he does not.
It really does.
I think it's because of the first half of the movie. The first half of the movie, we barely see him do anything other than like throw a few punches, and Bruce Wayne says a few lines, and that's it. But in the second half of the movie, there's a whole bunch.
Okay.
And so our first impression is, oh, he's hardly in this, and this is the Penguin and Catwoman show. Or the Penguin show,
but it's
really,
got to set
for the
them
first
up.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think that it's very obvious, and this is again got to be a residual sort of thing from Burton coming off of Edward Scissorhands and going back to what he truly likes to focus on. I think it's very obvious the filmmaker's sympathies are not with the hero in this case. Burton is very much more interested in Penguin and Catwoman and even Shrek than he is in Batman.
Why is Shrek even like, he's this villain, but he's not a villain. Like, he's not a super villain. He's just a sleazy politician businessman guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
he is.
Penguin should not have been in this film.
Really?
No,
You would have cut Penguin.
I would have cut Penguin. I would have cut Penguin and focused more on Selina, because I did like the interaction between Bruce and Selina. I like the interaction between Batman and Catwoman for the most part, but I couldn't stand the interaction between Penguin and Catwoman, or Penguin and Shrek, or Penguin and
There's
the Mayor,
really
or
no
Penguin and
reason
anybody.
that Penguin and Catwoman should have met in this movie. Their circles did not need to overlap at all.
No, you're absolutely right.
I think that's just clumsy screenwriting. I think they said, oh, well, we have to have them meet in some way.
Why?
Oh, just
I mean, I'm not making you
thinking.
justify it. I'm just.
Oh, I know.
I'm agreeing with you.
I really do think that this is one of those things where they're doomed by their initial success, because Burton
And a lack of like, who's going to tell Tim Burton that he can't jam more villains in his Batman sequel?
Yeah,
no one.
And I think that the best thing they could have done is have a different director come in and just said, thank you for starting it off, Tim. You said during the press tour for 89, this wasn't really what you wanted to do, but it's producers and marketing to say, no. We need, if people don't see the same director's name on it, they're going to get suspicious. They're going to wonder.
But it was so different anyway. Like,
I know.
It makes you wonder if they said no thanks, but no thanks to Burton, who would be Batman? Because Keaton, has said that, like, oh, I'm not going to do Batman Forever unless, Burton directs it. So it makes you wonder that that's probably how he felt with the second one. No?
Possibly.
Probably.
I mean, he already got a pay bump in this one for sure.
Big pay bump, yeah. He got $11 million in 1992.
That's why the sets were so cheap.
That's a good point. They saved money on the lighting. Because honestly, I think that you can get away with having stuff on sets, but there are directors of photography who just don't. It's not their best work when we
watched
indoor
Dark
stuff
City.
like that.
Dark City looked more like Gotham than this movie, and
Yes,
that was all sets and miniatures.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that
it was a city dark of night as well.
Yeah, no, I mean you can. I would never drag a DP because they're working with the director. They're going for a look,
right?
But Return of the Jedi is my favorite original Star Wars movie. But Alan Hume, you can tell when it's a set versus when he's shooting outdoors. Like as opposed to when I look at the first Star Wars, and I grew up not even thinking about the fact that the interior of Obi-Wan Kenobi's house was not in the desert somewhere. There are ways you can shoot around that stuff and make it, trick the eye and stuff like that. I just don't think that the photography here helps things very much. And I just really think that at its core, it's just that Burton didn't want to be here. He's here, and it feels very much like a situation where it's almost like a dysfunctional relationship where neither person wants to be the one to say it's time to end it. And so they're there, but the magic isn't quite the same. You can tell their heart isn't really in it. And that's where I see Burton and Warner Brothers in this, where it's like, we feel like we have to be together to make this work, when in actuality, they should have just said, okay, we'll go off. I mean, especially because even if Keaton stepped down as Batman, Tristan,
James Bond it. It's like, we've, at this point in hindsight, we've seen many people play Batman, and it still works. It doesn't have to be Keaton.
I want to ask Tristan, as a fellow Batman fan, would you have, I mean, I guess it's skewed because you didn't see Batman Returns immediately after Batman. You saw Forever first.
I can't give a straight answer. I can't give you an honest answer. I feel like as a kid, I probably would have been really disappointed to find out that Keaton wasn't coming back for the sequel. I'd be like, well, what are you talking about? Like, no, he's Batman. I'm Batman. That's weird. But I feel like because we got the sequel with Burton and Keaton, and then we got a movie without Burton and without Keaton, it felt okay. We were just
It
like, oh, they're
doubled
doing
down.
another bet. Because if it was Burton but no Keaton, or Keaton but no Burton, it may feel weird. I feel like Keaton and no Burton would have felt less weird. That would have been interesting to see Keaton in Batman Forever. That would have been very. I don't know how that would have played out, but
Not well.
Yeah. I can't imagine
Batman
Keaton,
and Robin. Never mind. I shouldn't speak.
Yeah.
No.
I can't imagine Keaton and Jim Carrey's the Riddler in a room together. Like it doesn't.
I mean, I
doesn't feel
can,
right.
but then I see Keaton punching Jim Carrey, like,
I see Keaton,
and the cameras aren't rolling.
I think Keaton has always come across as a very soft-spoken, like not aggressive type of person, but I could see him being internally the way Tommy Lee Jones was externally with Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
where he wouldn't say anything, but
I love that story.
It makes me think of like Will Ferrell and James Caan and like Elf. Like, they're acting together, but like if they had choices, they would never be in the same room together. It's
right. How did the dice roll this specific combination right here? Yeah.
Now, John, it's interesting that you say that about Keaton, because I think this goes into a little bit more of his psyche, where Keaton has said that his favorite scene and his favorite moment in the movie is when Batman smiles after putting the bomb on the strong guy.
Wow.
Okay. All right. That's
his favorite moment in the movie.
See, that's great. I do love pointing to Batman Returns when people start ragging on Zack Snyder's take on Batman, because everybody thinks that Batman is Superman-like and animated series-like. And they're like, Batman doesn't kill people. It's like, go watch Batman Returns. Not only does he kill somebody, he laughs about it. He thinks it's a hoot that he put a bomb on someone.
And not just in, I know you're making it the perfect example, but like not just in Returns, but in every single live action version of Batman, we've seen him kill someone.
Correct. Yes, we have.
But yet when the Snyder one, when Batman v Superman came out, everyone started clutching their pearls and saying, he doesn't understand Batman. Yeah. This is antithetical to the very nature of the character. And I just wanted to scream at people saying that
strong man, strong man. Don't forget him.
Yeah, it's
circus man on fire.
There's also I hate the Penguin's Ducky scissor lift, because my brain, I know it's a weird,
I know exactly what you're saying,
but I cannot understand when he gets on it with the baby and it goes up and then he fits through the tiny little hole, and it's like, where's the rest of your duck, sir? Because there's no way this is happening, and it drives me nuts.
The only way that my brain made it work is that there was a little cylinder within the duck thing that went up. That's all that I could think of.
That does make sense, but it feels like it wasn't that. It feels like it was just lazy and we don't care. But I know what you mean.
That's exactly what it was.
But you knew exactly what I was talking about. It's like, how does the break through the pavement in a fantastic fashion? That would have been more awesome. But no, it's like, I would have I would have laughed if it like stopped and his like eyes are like right there at the laser. Like, the duck's head. I can't come up anymore. Here's your child. No dramatic reveal for you.
But this is the problem. I think this is the clearest example of why, basically how the movie fails, is that I shouldn't care. There are a lot of things I overlook in Nolan's movies because I enjoy everything else about them so much that it's like, I'll look the other way on this. And filmmakers, when a movie is working, it's always is the whole greater than the sum of its parts. And you look the other way on certain things. And you could nitpick things and you could pick things apart, but you look the other way. But the simple fact that Batman Returns, on a very basic level, there are certain things that don't work in such a fundamental way that I look at that Ducky scene and I say, that's not really.
Well, remind me, Tristan, happen. Was the Bat Missile in the first Batman where it converts into the streamline, make it through the, okay, It was just in the second one. Okay. Cause that's cool. But again, watching it without nostalgia, I was like, it's this weird, like Tim Taylor mash the switch, won't it happen? And I'm like, I don't remember it being like that. I remember it being a cool escape moment, and it is, but it didn't play out like my memory had it. Because it's a cool moment where like all the parts peel off and then the wheels do the sidestep and it fits through the alley.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're sitting here sort of curb stomping. There are, I think, Darren, you put it best earlier, where when I think of this movie, the reason I always wind up revisiting it is because I remember the highlight reel.
Yeah,
and the highlight
got a very strong
great.
highlight reel.
Yeah, like when the Batman, when I still love one of my favorite shots in any Batman movie is when the bat signal goes off and Bruce Wayne is just sitting there brooding, and then the little spotlights go and he stands up and that's just a fantastic tableau.
That feels like 89 Batman.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh! I hope nobody's at his house when the bat signal goes off, because
what
that's
is
going to
that?
be embarrassing.
Well, the light just happened to catch the mirror, and I don't know why.
I just really like Batman. Okay, that's all. That's all.
I have a shrine to him downstairs. You can't see.
It's not creepy.
I love that he was just brooding. Like that's
it's totally what he's doing.
That's so comic book Batman, where he's just sitting in the dark, just thinking about crap.
Yeah, he's just waiting to kick somebody's butt.
I'm reminded again from what we address in Batman Begins and other things of like, this is also the no head turn Batman, where like he cannot. He is. I mean, he still looks cool, but like when he's fighting with Catwoman, she grabs his ears and headbutts his, knees him in the face, and it's like, yeah, dude, this is not.
Now
you're not flexible.
The perfect no head turn moment was in '89 when they're at Axis Chemicals.
Yes,
and
I know right before
it's right before he throws down a smoke bomb. And you hear the music, and like I wish this is hard to do on podcasting, but like he turns to the left, turns to the right, and then does a little shimmy to the left and right real quick, and then throws down the smoke bomb and goes up.
Yes, I will say though that with the exception of the head turning thing, because I did slim down the neck a bit, but it still
looked good. Yeah. It just was not
Change the color.
It's my favorite of the 1990s Batman outfits because the fact that they had it look like armor plating on the abs as opposed to that sculpted stuff, I like that more because I look at that and I think, he would advertise that he's armored, and it would be like the sculpting would be silly after a certain point, because why would you even bother doing that? Just go with what's efficient and works, and Batman goes for what works, and that I would make it armor. Of course, why wouldn't you armor the sides too? But you get a good moment out of it, so whatever, that's fine.
I might disagree with you a little bit about Batman goes with what works, because he brands everything unnecessarily.
Not unnecessarily, Tristan, because that goes back to the whole gift shop thing, right? Okay, work with me here.
I think I know where this is going.
He brands everything. How does Wayne maintain his fortune? Shell corporations. These shell corporations sell Batman memorabilia. Therefore, Bruce Wayne can be tied to Batman. So if anybody walks in at some point and they say, why do you have all this Batman stuff around here? He's like,
number one brand.
I sell Batman stuff. That's how I maintain my billionaire status. And they go, oh, that makes sense.
And part of that memorabilia is a Batmobile kiddie ride that that the Penguin can take.
Full circle.
They just need to make it necessary to use your ID to buy one, the way when I go to get Sudafed when I have a cold, right? So that I know who's buying the Batmobile.
Sir, middle-aged man, why do you? Yeah. Oh, I just pulled it up again because I remember it. It's the scene in the sewer with Batman and Catwoman where he's just about to unmask. And it's just at that moment right before he pulls off his mask where instantly his black eyeshadow is gone. Because of course, if it wasn't and he pulls off, rips off the top, it would be like, it looks like Peter Mayhew when he doesn't have his Chewbacca on. It's all like blacked out. And again, it's so fast you don't notice it, but unless you're looking for it.
But that's the thing. Like, what? Okay, so he does this thing where like as he rips off his mask, like he completely covers his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When his hand goes in front of his face into the side of his neck.
You think they
why the friggin' hell didn't the editor time it to pick it up right there instead of when you could blatantly see his eyes with no makeup?
Yeah, it's like it's in the scene because it's a reverse shot back and forth between him and Catwoman, and it's literally like has eyeshadow has eyeshadow, doesn't have eyeshadow. And it's like, okay, it's like, if you're looking for it, it's really obvious.
Oh yes, it was really obvious on the big screen. I can assure you that even if you didn't catch it on the first time, which I admit I didn't, on the second time you go, oh yeah, okay, yeah,
right. Because when he takes off the mask, like 2 seconds later, you're like,
yep.
Oh, it looks normal because you're not realizing it's not there.
Right.
I
remember the same thing happened in The Phantom with Billy Zane, where like he has like really deep set mask with lots of eyeshadow, and then the very end when he takes it off, like there's a split second where you see him, and it's just like he looks like what I don't know what the opposite of a raccoon is, but that's definitely what it felt like. I think this movie I want to talk about more.
So like, 4.5 guys? Is that where we're going?
Definitely heading in that direction, I think.
So Annette Bening was originally cast as Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have worked. Obviously, I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Who is that? I'm not recognizing that name.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, she's been in a lot of stuff. The American President is the first thing that pops to mind. She was in Bugsy, The Siege.
Okay.
Yeah. She was in American Beauty. She was the wife in American Beauty.
Yes, that's probably her most famous role for people of our age.
Yeah, probably so.
I think she has the voice for it.
I think Annette Bening would have worked. Sure.
But like she got pregnant, and then Michelle Pfeiffer swooped in and got paid way more money than Annette Bening.
Well, there were a lot of people actually that were in contention for Catwoman. Shall I read off the whole list? According to the Book of Knowledge?
Yes, please.
Okay. Supposedly, according to the Book of Knowledge, Raquel Welch, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Madonna, Ellen Barkin, Cher, Bridget Fonda, Lorraine Bracco, which that's kind of the head scratcher in the group for me, Jennifer Beals, and Susan Sarandon were in competition for the role, according to Wikipedia. Now, before anybody says, why do you scratch your head at Lorraine Bracco? Because I think of her as Henry Hill's wife, and that just doesn't like I couldn't have possibly watched her as Catwoman and thought of anything but Henry Hill's wife. Like I just like this is weird. This doesn't make sense to my brain.
I think Lorraine Bracco would have nailed it. The person I'm reading a different list that has Reba friggin' McEntire on it.
That can't be right. That can't be
real, right? It can't be right.
That can't be right. I can't see
Batman.
Susan
Let me
Sarandon
sing you a
doing
song about my heart.
Yeah,
and why we should run off together.
Yeah. I love Reba. Don't get me wrong, but she's not Catwoman.
I think Jennifer of the list that I read off according to Wikipedia. I think that Jennifer Jason Leigh was the most interesting in that list.
So I just laugh at like Madonna and Cher because like, of course they were considered like that. They're on every list. It doesn't mean they're close.
Well, back then, people like to pretend that they could act. So yes. That is,
Gina Davis was offered the role.
Really?
She was offered the role. Like she was offered the role, turned it down so she could star in A League of Their Own, and then Annette Bening accepted it, but then got pregnant, and she was offered $1 million. And Michelle Pfeiffer, who originally auditioned for Vicky Vale in '89,
I could see that
got $3 million for the movie.
Wow,
because she was a more bankable star than Annette Bening at the time. And apparently Brooke Shields was in contention, but Burton said, she's not a star anymore.
That's just
which is sad to think about 92.
No, I know, but that's just so odd that, there's so many decisions where it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. And the one that probably gets the most ink over time is the fact that Robin once again appears in drafts of the script until they finally say there are too many characters and they cut Robin.
That's the character you cut.
Yeah.
Not all the other characters you jammed in this movie.
Yeah. Marlon Wayans was cast, had even had a costume fitting. And then they cut the character. That's how late in the process they cut Robin.
What would he have done? Like what? I'm just curious.
Okay. Let's see here. He was a garage mechanic, I think, at one point.
Okay.
who winds up stealing
So
the Batmobile.
he's the guy who knows the Batmobile.
Right. He discovers the secret. And then he winds up becoming Robin. But I mean, it went through several iterations, and it's nuts because it's so odd and capricious in a sense, where you have to think to yourself, I've been cast in the sequel to one of the biggest movies of all time. I've gone through my wardrobe fitting. I'm good enough. I'm going to make it. This is my big, I'm sorry, I'm out. Oh, okay. Merry Christmas to me. Like, that's got to hurt, man. That's got to sting so bad.
And then you watch the movie and you're like, this had 1 million characters in it. Like, you couldn't keep Robin in.
You couldn't cut Max Schreck and put in Robin.
Yeah, you couldn't even tone him down even. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just bizarre. Like, I think it's very much that the underlying core problem is there are so many competing good impulses that fight against each other and create a mess with this movie. And every time it starts getting some momentum, it just cuts its own momentum and it starts going off in a different direction. And I think back to what Ebert said back about Edward Scissorhands, where Burton's a director who has great visual style, but hasn't quite figured out how to have a narrative style yet. And I'd say that sums up not just Edward Scissorhands, but also Batman Returns.
Well, and like we said about Edward, like, he does have a style in his animated works. Like, when he has that kind of complete control that only animation can give. I'd agree with that. I don't think he's there yet in 92.
Now, since we read off the list of people who were considered to play Catwoman from the Book of Knowledge, here is the people who were considered to play the Penguin. Dustin Hoffman was originally
I thought
the
you were
first
just going to
choice.
say Danny DeVito and then drop the mic and then walk quick.
Yeah.
No, Dustin Hoffman was originally the first choice, but declined. Then we move on to Dudley Moore, Marlon Brando, John Candy, Bob Hoskins, Ralph Waite, Dean Martin, Alan Rickman, Phil Collins, Charles Grodin, Ben Kingsley, John Goodman, Christopher Lee, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Rocco, and Christopher Lloyd.
There's no way that list is accurate. There's no way.
There's no friggin' way this is accurate.
0.0% chance that anybody said Christopher Lee could play this role.
No. I mean, Bob Hoskins
Charles
is
Grodin?
the one
Yeah.
I get the most, because I'm like, that's like you couldn't get Danny DeVito, so you got Bob. I'm not saying anything against Bob, but like, if you already got the wardrobe kind of fitted, and I could see that. But
no,
I could see Bob Hoskins in that role.
I could see Bob doing it.
John
Ben
Candy
Kingsley?
in the role? No. Ben Kingsley, no. John
Christopher
Candy?
Lee?
No, that's the one there's no chance. There's
no way.
No, you know what? I think Christopher Lee probably did make the list, where Burton said, "Yeah, I want to work with Christopher Lee," and then the producer said, "Go fuck yourself."
Don't forget to bleep that. But yes, I would say it's either that or somebody got high. Or you know what? Maybe what it is, because we keep talking about how Burton's heart maybe wasn't in this one. We can sit there and we can say that Burton went to them and was like, "This will get me fired." Christopher Lee, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll write it down, Tim."
Okay. I want to give one last trivia thing that really impressed me about Catwoman's performance is that Michelle Pfeiffer went all in on this. Like, she trained hard for it. She learned she basically became a professional with the whip. And I saw some behind the scenes footage stuff. And like, when she knocks off the heads of the mannequins, yeah, they're pre-cut, of course, but she hits every single one in one take. Like, I know that there's a cut in the movie, but in the behind the scenes footage, she did it all in one take. And it's just absolutely amazing how well how good she became with that whip. And she did all of that in a literally vacuum sealed suit.
Mm-hmm.
She said that in a later interview, she said that she could only act for like a couple of minutes before she felt like she was going to pass out because it was vacuum sealed. How insane is that?
It's very insane. It actually reminds me of a story from Erin Gray on the Buck Rogers TV show, where she was talking about regretting doing this too, because she could have made money on them. But at the end of the series, they gave her all of her costumes and she threw them all out. She wanted nothing to do with them. And you may ask yourself why. She said because they were so tight, she would get migraines from the clothing. And it's one of those things where it's interesting because the Catwoman suit is terrific. And it's really interesting and it's visually great. But at some point, you sometimes have to ask, what is it that you're asking your actors and actresses to go through for these outfits?
Yeah, I
And
remember
can't
hearing
you
that they
engineer
had to
something?
sew her into it, like the last bit, like she had to be removed from it. I'm like, that's a line. Like that's too far.
It's definitely a line. I remember from the first movie, Keaton talking about they needed people with screw guns to get him into his outfit. Where like they literally screwed him in, and he was like, "You just don't go to the bathroom because you're not going to be able to for 8 hours." And I think to myself, I can't imagine going that long without going to the bathroom. Not because I enjoy going to the bathroom so much, although I am a fan. Like I can't imagine signing on for something like that and thinking, "Yeah, this seems fair. This is a good day's work."
No,
It's like,
I would straight up have panic attacks. Like if I
yeah,
was screwed into an outfit that I knew I wouldn't be able to get out of. Keaton for returns asked for a zipper in the pants, which he
smart
didn't
man.
have in '89.
Smart man.
I'm just imagining him on set with Penguin and Catwoman. He's like, I see you didn't request the zipper like I did.
Maybe I would have used my clout though as the star to say everybody gets zippers. Everybody needs to be able to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, insist that for everybody.
All right. Well, we could clearly keep going about this movie, but I feel like we need to start wrapping it up as we reach the 1 hour mark. Darren, I want to know what's your final say on this movie? What's your rating?
I'm giving it another 2. I'm feeling, kind of like what you said earlier, Tristan, where it's like, yeah, 90s Burton. This is going to be an interesting ride as we actually look at these films in a more recent mindset. And again, Batman is also difficult to discuss without discussing all the other Batman there's been. I mean, we talked about all the other movies during this conversation, so it has huge shoes to be compared with. But it's a lot of great moments, a lot of head scratchers. But at the end of the day, it's a 2.
John, how many bloodied batarangs do you give this film?
I would say that 2 is not an unfair rating. I do think that even though it's very Edward Scissorhands, that I do enjoy the score a great deal. I think that there's some good blending with the Batman stuff and the other themes. I was a huge fan of the Susie and the Banshees song, Face to Face. I love that song to this day. I think it's a terrific song. And so I will freely admit nostalgia colors this. The fact that I can't quit it. I can't stop giving Batman Returns another chance every so often. It winds up with a 2.5 because there are interesting elements. It has no momentum, and that rating has just dropped over time, but I'm not ready yet to accept the truth that it should be lower than a 2.5 yet.
I am in the Darren camp, and I'm giving it a 2, just because I started looking at my letterbox the other day and looking at the 2.5s, and I'm like, did I enjoy this as much as these 2.5s? And I'm just like, no, I don't have any nostalgic points for this. Every time I look back on it and I think about doing my rewatch, I'm like, I skip it. I go from 89 to forever. And I don't have fond memories of the film. I friggin' hate the Penguin. I think it's a terrible performance. It's a distracting performance. I think the mayor storyline is completely unnecessary and foolish. And I like Catwoman, but at the same time, like there was a lot of times where it went way too over the top. Where even though I like the interaction between Catwoman and Bruce Wayne, there's certain times when I'm like, she's crazy, right? Like it's clear she's crazy, but yet you're like, asking her to live in your castle. And I felt like Alfred had zero to do. I felt like he could have not even been in this film and we wouldn't have even noticed. And, Shrek should have been either a larger presence or nothing at all. And it just, and if that's the case, then it just felt unnecessary. There's just so much wrong with this. The production design, the writing, the character moment, like the direction. This is just a bad movie. Two stars.
Oof.
So there we have it. I was expecting more variation, but two twos and 1 2.5. That's pretty damning. Is that the most damning that we've ever been?
The kitty ride really cements it for me. Like I can't get past it.
And keep in mind that 2.5 has an asterisk next to it. I know it's going to drop.
Looking back, we had 2 2s and a 2.5 for Sugarland Express.
Hey, there you go.
Which we all hated too. So,
Spielberg's very first movie. Well, that just means that there's nowhere to go but up, and Burton is going to wow us with Ed Wood next week.
Who gave the 2.5 on Sugarland?
On Sugarland, that was you.
Damn.
There you go. There you go.
So I said that I liked Sugarland more than Batman Returns.
You did.
You did.
I don't know about that.
You also said The Crow and Dark City got 2.5s, so you like both of those before. I'm not saying those are bad, but just that's a year.
Man, I don't know about that one either.
You ranked this on par with Jack and Bram Stoker's Dracula. And Blazing Saddles.
Right. That feels right.
Wait, and Blazing Saddles. That's just... Don't open old wounds. Come on, Darren.
Hey, you guys didn't invite me to the Blazing Saddles rodeo. So
you know what? Listen, it's probably a good thing because I'm still sore about that one. So
all right. Well, we're over an hour mark, so everybody should go to thenerdparty.com for all of your Nerd Party needs. Darren, what's your handle on Twitter?
Dr. Sci-Fi.
John, what's your handle on Twitter?
Castle Junkie.
And I'm the Insane Robin. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please tune in next week as we discuss the enigma and often forgotten Ed Wood.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.